There's something no one tells you when the birthdays pile up and the knees begin to speak more than the mouth, that many of us aren't just aging, we're quietly declining. Not because we want to, not because we've given up, but because, without realizing it, we've adopted habits that wear us down little by little, like a soft wind shaping stone. The truth is harsh, but it isn't cruel. Most seniors in the world today are not aging with health. They're aging into fragility. They sit more. They move less. They eat what's easy, not what strengthens. They confuse rest with stillness and silence with peace. It's not their fault. And maybe it's not yours either. This isn't about blame. It's about noticing what has gone unnoticed for too long. It's about the small, inherited routines. The toast with jam, the hours in the chair, the soft foods that seem kind but slowly hollow our strength. It's about the systems that forgot us. The doctors too rush to ask how we feel. The society that teaches us to slow down too soon. It's about the quiet assumption that after 60, the body must only endure, not thrive. But that assumption is wrong. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, who lived to 105, challenged that belief every single day. He said something bold for a man of his years. Don't rely on doctors. Walk more. Think more. Move more. He believed that aging should never be passive. It should be alive with curiosity, movement, and purpose. Not easy, no, but not resigned either. And he proved it, not with prescriptions, but with steps taken, stairs climbed, and a mind that refused to be dismissed. Dan Buettner, who studied the longest living people on Earth, found something else. In places like Okinawa or Sardinia, people don't live long because they try harder. They live long because their lives make it easier to be well. Their kitchens are full of whole foods. Their gardens need tending. Their neighbors stop by without warning. They walk without counting steps. They have purpose because life still asks something of them. And they answer. That's what we've lost. Not just health, but the design for it. The rhythm, the rituals, the demand that gives meaning. And in its place, we've inherited the couch, the sweet snack, the television, the polite silence of a world that no longer expects us to contribute. But what if we expect more of ourselves? Not with pressure, but with love. This video is not a lecture. It is not a list. It's an awakening. A soft but firm call to notice what is costing us our strength, our memory, our joy, and to choose something different. It will be uncomfortable. The truth often is. But it will also be clear, gentle, and possible. Today, we'll explore 4 reasons, 4 invisible patterns that are slowly draining the vitality of older adults around the world. And more importantly, we'll look at how to break each one, not with perfection, but with one small, doable change at a time. Because you are not broken, you are not too late, and your body, your marvelous aging still alive body, is still listening. It starts quietly. A soft chair, a familiar spot by the window, a place where the hours pass, not because you're resting, but because the world no longer demands you move. First, it's a moment after breakfast, then it's an entire afternoon, and before long, the chair becomes a kind of second skin, comfortable, dependable, always there. But here lies the danger, not in the comfort, but in the stillness that begins to steal from you. Most older adults now spend more than 10 hours a day seated, not because they're lazy, but because the design of modern life allows it, even encourages it. Television, medication schedules, quiet homes without gardens to tend or errands to run. But this isn't neutral time. With each hour spent still, the body grows a little weaker. The legs that once carried groceries uphill begin to hesitate on the stairs. The back that once held a grandchild now strains with the simple act of standing. The strength that once felt natural now needs effort to recover. It's not just about muscle, though it begins there. When we sit for too long, the large muscles of the body, the glutes, the hips, the thighs, begin to forget their work. They shrink, grow stiff, and lose their coordination. This is called sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass with age. But what many don't realize is that sitting accelerates it. Every hour still is an hour of silent decay. The body, no longer called upon, quietly closes its toolbox. And yet, in Okinawa, where some of the world's longest living people reside, something different happens. Their homes are built close to the floor. They squat to sit, to eat, to rest. They rise and lower themselves many times each day, not in the gym, but in daily life. That simple movement, from ground to standing, keeps their legs strong, their hips open, their balance intact. They don't think of it as exercise. It's just living. You don't need to copy their homes, you don't need to abandon the chair. But you can remember this: movement is not a punishment for aging. It is the protection against its worst effects. A simple rhythm, every 30 minutes of sitting, a pause to stand, to stretch, to walk to the window, can slow down the loss. It can remind the body that it still has work to do. Not much, just enough. Because the chair is not evil. It is not your enemy. But it is a slow-motion trap. The more time you give it, the more strength it takes from you. And one day, without warning, it doesn't let you go. So, before that happens, change your rhythm. Not with force, not with guilt, but with a quiet act of remembering that your legs were made to carry you, and they still can. The day begins quietly: a cup of coffee, a slice of toast, maybe some fruit or a spoonful of sweet yogurt. Familiar tastes, light, comforting, easy to prepare. For many older adults, this has become the morning ritual. But behind this gentle start hides a silence, not in the room, but in the muscles, a kind of fading voice that never gets the nourishment to speak. After 60, something subtle but important happens inside the body. The process of building and maintaining muscle, something called protein synthesis, slows down. Not because the body has given up, but because it now needs more support to do what it once did easily. Muscles no longer respond to small signals. They need a stronger nudge, and that nudge begins in the morning. What most people call breakfast, toast, fruit, a bit of jam, gives energy, but not strength. It fills the stomach, but not the muscles. Over time, this pattern turns into weakness, not because the food is bad, but because it is incomplete. The body, especially in aging, needs rebuilding. And that rebuilding starts with protein. Real, rich, muscle-feeding protein, especially within the first hours of the day. Cultures that understand this live differently. In Japan, older adults often begin the day with a warm soup full of vegetables, tofu, and sometimes fish. It's not a heavy meal, but it carries depth. It feeds not only the body, but the structure that keeps it upright, the muscles, the joints, the bones. And the results are visible. More strength, more mobility, more resilience against the slow decline so common elsewhere. This is not about rules. It's about giving your body what it quietly asks for, before it starts shouting through weakness, imbalance, or pain. Within 90 minutes of waking, offering your body 25 to 30 grams of protein can make all the difference, not as a rule to obey, but as a form of care. A boiled egg, a scoop of whey stirred into warm tea, a bowl of lentils, a spoon of Greek yogurt. Nothing fancy, just something real, because what you feed your muscles before noon decides how strong they stay after 70. And strength, in aging, is not a luxury. It is the gatekeeper to independence. It is the difference between climbing stairs or avoiding them, between carrying groceries or waiting for help, between getting up from a chair or staying in it. The body is patient. It waits to be nourished. It waits to be rebuilt. And every morning, it gives you the chance to choose, to feed weakness or to feed strength, not with extremes, just with intention, just with something solid. There's a quiet message many older adults have absorbed without question, that soft food is safer, that after a certain age, chewing is risky, digestion is fragile, and simpler textures are kinder. And so, over time, the plate begins to change. Out go the roots and grains, the fibrous vegetables, the hearty stews. In come the crackers, the white bread, the instant oatmeal, the pudding cups, the flavored yogurts that slide down without resistance. Gentle on the mouth, yes, but quietly harmful to the body. The softening of food often begins as a gesture of care. A well-meaning child, a cautious caregiver, a tired hand that no longer wants to chop or peel, but what seems safe becomes slowly a silent thief. These processed, soft foods are often loaded with sugars, refined flours, and oils that stir inflammation in the body. They raise blood sugar quickly, then leave it crashing. They fill the stomach but starve the muscles. And they do something else too. They remove effort from the act of eating. Chewing is not just a mechanical step. It sends signals to the brain that say, this food is real, this food is filling, this food is enough. It activates digestion before the stomach even begins its work. It engages the jaw, the face, the mind. It brings presence back to the act of nourishment. And when that effort is removed, when every bite is soft, sweet, and fast, digestion weakens, fullness fades, and the body forgets how to receive nourishment in its deeper form. In places where aging is still strong, in mountain villages, in coastal kitchens, in quiet corners of the world, food remains food. Beans are soaked. Carrots are steamed until tender, but still whole. Avocados are eaten with a spoon, not blended into dessert. Teeth meet texture, and the body in return remembers its strength. Replacing soft, processed sides with something gently firm is not about force. It is not about chewing through discomfort. It is about giving the body something real to work with, something that nourishes, grounds, and asks the digestive fire to burn just a little brighter. A spoonful of mashed sweet potato, a handful of soaked lentils, a slice of ripe pear. Foods that don't just go down. They stay, they build, they matter. Because if your fork only meets mush, your body slowly follows. The world may have softened your meals, but it does not need to soften your strength. Eating can still be sacred. Chewing can still be powerful. And the foods that ask a little more from you, they give back even more in return. There is a kind of silence that settles into the body with age. Not the peaceful kind, but the protective kind. A hesitation to move. A fear of the wrong step. A memory of that one time you bent the wrong way or felt a sudden jolt in the back. And so, you begin to avoid. Not just the stairs or the walk to the store, but anything that brings discomfort. Even the smallest ache is seen as a warning, and slowly the body begins to retreat. Pain, of course, is real. It deserves respect. But in many older adults, it becomes something else. Not a signal to listen to, but a shadow that halts everything. A tightness in the knee becomes a reason to stop walking. A sore back becomes an excuse to lie down, and the body, ever obedient, adapts. It learns to do less. It becomes weaker in the name of safety. The very discomfort that could have led to renewal is misunderstood as danger. What's missing is not courage, but clarity. Because not all pain is harm. Some discomfort is the body waking up. Some soreness is the muscle rebuilding. A little tension, held gently and moved through slowly, can be the beginning of healing, not the end of it. The nervous system needs to be reminded that movement is still safe. That the body, even with its history and its limits, can still stretch, bend, lift, and rise. This wisdom is not new. In Sardinia, one of the blue zones, the elders walk steep hills every day. Not because it is easy, not because they are athletes, but because it is expected. It is life. Their knees ache, yes, their backs complain, but they move anyway, with presence, with purpose, and with respect for the rhythm of their bodies. And their strength, even into the 90s, reflects that quiet persistence. It is not about pushing through pain blindly. It is about learning to hear it differently. The joint whisper is a way of moving that listens closely. It doesn't ignore the message, but it doesn't run from it either. It says, I hear you, let's move differently. It finds new ways to rise from the chair, to reach for the cupboard, to walk around the garden, not as tasks to survive, but as gestures of trust. Avoiding all pain is like muting your car's warning signals. It may feel quieter for a while, but the breakdown comes sooner. The goal is not to suffer. The goal is to stay connected, to live inside the body, even when it speaks with stiffness or fatigue. Because the body, even now, wants to move. It wants to live. And the moment we stop fearing every signal is the moment we begin to heal. There's a quiet illusion that follows many into their later years. The idea that decline is inevitable, that weakness is nature's way of dimming the light gently. It begins with tiny concessions. The stairs feel steeper, so you take them less. The appetite shrinks, so you reach for soft foods, easy foods. Pain whispers in the joints, and instead of listening carefully, you pull away, hoping rest will make it disappear. Doctors come and go, often with hurried words and printed prescriptions, but rarely with time or tenderness. And so you adapt, not to health, but to a version of life where the body is no longer trusted. But what if it's not age that's making you feel this way? What if it's repetition, not of years, but of patterns? The same breakfast every day, offering calories but not strength. The same hours in the same chair, waiting for the day to pass. The same belief that rest is the only answer to discomfort. These habits don't appear all at once. They arrive disguised as kindness, as convenience, as caution. But left unchallenged, they begin to reshape the body. Not just how it feels, but how it functions. And yet, there are people in their 80s, 90s, even 100s, who still tend to their plants, cook their own meals, and walk the hills without fear. Not because they're stronger or luckier, but because their daily lives ask more of them, and in return, give more back. Their homes are not filled with machines or meal replacements. They are filled with rhythms: cooking, cleaning, caring, walking, eating foods that still look like food. Their strength is not miraculous, it's designed. But design can be changed. Rhythm can be restored. You don't need a gym membership or a perfect routine. You don't need to chase youth. What you need is a shift in attention, a decision to listen to what your body actually needs, not just what is easiest to give it. A body that hasn't been challenged begins to fade, but it can respond again. Slowly, yes. Gently, but faithfully. Dr. Hinohara's words still ring clear. Don't retire your body before your mind is ready. That line holds a deeper truth. Many have retired their bodies long before their time, not because they wanted to, but because no one told them it was possible to continue. That strength, clarity, and mobility were not gifts for the young, but qualities that could be protected, even recovered, if only the right questions were asked. What if you asked different questions? Not what is safe, but what keeps me strong. Not what is easy, but what brings me energy. These questions don't demand perfect answers. They open small doors. They allow for the possibility that even now, especially now, your body can return to life in ways you hadn't considered. Dan Bietner reminds us that motivation is not enough. What shapes our days is what shapes our bodies. Environment, routine, expectation. If everything around you expects stillness, stillness will grow. But if the day asks for a little movement, a little more protein, a little patience with pain, the body begins to shift again. And the shift is not dramatic, it's honest. You'll feel it not in the mirror, but in the quiet satisfaction of standing up without help, of sleeping through the night without cramps, of walking a little farther without fear. This is not about refusing to age. It is about aging with the care and dignity that your years have earned, not letting decline define the rest of your life. You do not need to be strong all at once. You need to be consistent in small ways that bring your body back into the conversation. There is no magic, but there is meaning, there is design, and there is the simple, beautiful fact that your body, however tired, however changed, still wants to be lived in. If you listen, it will respond. If you offer just one act of attention, it will remember. And if you begin today, not with a goal but with a gesture, it might surprise you with how much it still wants to give.